is episode 437. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games, brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week we're talking Devil's Crush for the TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, Sega Genesis, whatever you want to, whichever platform you love it on most. We're here to talk about it. We've got some other segments planned throughout this week's episode. Some fun ones. We're going to go back in time. We're going to talk about trophies. We've got a fun roundtable question. All of that and more coming to you soon. But first, I want to know, Matt and Mark, what is something that the Free Cheese is 10 years old now. Or we're in our 10th season. That's how we count things now. We're 10, even though the date hasn't hit yet. But we're 10. So 10 years ago, what is something that you would have scoffed at or judged your current self for doing? If you traveled back in time and said, hey, guess what? I buy $60 shampoo.
Oh, I was going to say playing Dota.
Yeah, well, we're all still judging you for that too, so that makes sense.
Good question.
I thought about it while using $60 shampoo in the shower. It's not a flex. It's just I found a shampoo that I like for a number of reasons. Didn't care what the price tag was anymore, but I remember distinctively a long time ago seeing that there were shampoos that cost more than $3 and said, why would anyone do that? And now I get it. I understand it. However, would not have gotten it a decade ago.
I probably would be scoffing at me trying some new foods that I didn't like before.
You have an example of one?
Well, I'm not particularly fond of pickles and or onions. Still not really. I don't prefer it, but there are days where if I have a burger and that stuff is on there, I probably just won't care, and it's fine. I don't have an issue with, like, I can eat pickles, but with me, it just affects my taste buds way more than it probably should, so it's hard to, like, balance the flavors. Because once there's a pickle in there, that's all I taste.
Interesting.
But there's some days I'm just like, you know what, screw it. You gotta have it all together. It's part of the whole package.
Today's a pickle day.
Yeah, and if onions, that's whatever. But yeah, I don't know. And I think before I was also picky about tomatoes, and I've definitely I came around on tomatoes. I don't hate them, but
came around as in you love them, or are they just tolerable?
I don't know if I say love, but I'm definitely okay with them. You know,
okay,
they don't offend me at all. But yeah, younger me would definitely be pretty childish about it.
I hadn't considered food as an option, but yeah, my taste buds there have certainly changed. Like, I incorporate mushrooms into a lot more meals, where before the only time I'd have mushrooms is if someone didn't pick up their pizza and it was free pizza at work. And I would pick them off, cover it in hot sauce, and if you missed one, so be it. But now I'm like, what if I made a dish that was just mushrooms? Matt, what about you? What is something you would have looked down on yourself for?
Kind of keeping with the same, like, food mentality. They weren't around 10 years ago, or at least they weren't nearly as popular as they are now. A hard spiked seltzer. Even like me, like 2 years ago, I scoffed at the idea of me drinking them, but they are nice and refreshing, and a nice change of pace every once in a while.
They're very good, not the mainstream ones, but I've seen some of the ones that are they're coming out of the woodworks, man. They have a lot of great art on the cans of those. That and the ciders, like, they do a lot to. I think like beer can artwork got really good in the last decade, but the cider and seltzer game has also stepped it up. Yeah, we need more good art in product packaging. Listeners, tell us. Podcastthefreecheese.com. You've been around for 10 years, I assume. What do you do now that you would have looked down on 10 years ago? podcast at thefreecheese.com. We'll read that next week. But this week, it's time we continue on our journey. For those just tuning in, maybe you found this episode because you love Devil's Crush. You typed Devil's Crush into your podcast feed searcher. Devil's Crush, or I'm sorry, not Devil's Crush. What we're doing this season, season 10, episode 2, is what you're listening to, is we've gone through, we've each, between the three of us, picked 15 games. So over the next 45 weeks, we're going to come together. We have all played the game. We're going to talk about the game, our impressions of it, what did we expect beforehand, etc. And then at the end of the episode, we'll rank it against the other games of this season. Last week, we talked about Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg for the Nintendo GameCube. Go check that out if you missed it. Stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear what we're talking about next week. But this week, Devil's Crush. I'm here to read you straight from the back of the box. Play video pinball that will set you on fire. Explosive graphics and demonic sound beckon you to the underworld for a devilish pinball simulation. Rebound off the she-giant. So beautiful when she sleeps, so evil when she awakens. Burn up in the bonus rounds where dragons will roast you, skeletons will toast you, and sorcerers will plan a barbecue around you. Finally, if you flip your way past them all, fight the ultimate Armageddon. First released for PC Engine in Japan, which would be TurboGrafx 16 here, on July 20th, 1990.
About that.
Developed by Compile and published by Naxit Soft. Mark, how do you feel about that just up front, sharing a release date with Devil's Crush?
I guess pretty good. I don't know about being older than it, but it's fine. It's not far.
So this was a game I picked. I picked it because I like it a lot. This was a game where exploring so TurboGrafx 16, just quick show of hands for you two and the listeners. Who knew what a TurboGrafx 16 was before the Wii Virtual Console?
Oh, good. I probably didn't. I don't think I did.
Not a chance.
If I mean, like, yeah, if I had ever caught it in a magazine, maybe but it was never something I registered or like locked in as something I needed to know. To me, video games were Sega, and video games were Nintendo. Period. Right? There was no other console. I think it's I knew about like we had the Jaguar come out in the mid '90s, so I knew of that, and that Atari had existed prior to the NES, but its games were not what I wanted to play. However, yeah, TurboGrafx 16, what are you? What is this? And maybe some listeners now tuning in, maybe they're not aware with what this is. So TurboGrafx 16 was a contemporary with the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Sega Master System. So it was of that 8-bit generation. And despite it being called the TurboGrafx 16, not a 16-bit console like the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. So it is of that era. However, it does so many things to push itself forward, with, I think, graphically speaking, etc. Anyway, this is not a TurboGrafx episode. It's a Devil's Crush episode, but I think setting the stage for that is important. And the Wii Virtual Console was the first time I saw TurboGrafx 16, and I remember being like very confused. What is this thing? But it had games and names that I recognized, right? Like I remember seeing Bomberman on there, which that was where I'd first fall in love with Bomberman in earnest, I think, outside of like the Bomberman 64 stuff. But it was there that I started poking around at things, and then later just kind of exploring that library where I discovered Devil's Crush. And there's something weird and wild about Devil's Crush that if you've never played it, I don't think you can quite get. But it feels to me a bit like playing Mortal Kombat, like for the first time. Like you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing, but it feels cool to be doing. You feel like you're getting away with something by playing Devil's Crush. There's this, I mean, the back of the box quote that I read before is very corny and cheesy about dragons roasting you and all that stuff. But like, there is like a cool demonic presence inside of this game. I think the art is really neat. I think that the sound is stellar. Yeah, we'll talk more, but I want to hear Matt, what do you think? What was going into this? Had you played this before? What did you expect before playing this game?
No. Another one where I probably didn't even know this game existed until this past December. Probably, anything TurboGrafx, honestly, I probably have never touched it, even through the Wii Shop, or the Virtual Console or whatever, but, yeah, never heard of it. Didn't even know it was pinball until kind of like we discussed it further. So yeah, that's what I knew going into this.
Mark, how about you? What did you expect going into Devil's Crush?
Spooky pinball was as much as I was thinking about. I didn't know what it was going to be visually. I didn't know if it was going to be either more like I was curious about if it was going to be more like video gamey or more trying to like recreate a traditional pinball table. And I was kind of, I don't know, like in pinball like FX3 or something, right? They kind of incorporate both in a weird way, depending on the table you pick, especially if it's like an original table. So I had something like that in mind, but of course a little more, I guess, I don't want to say primitive, but I guess primitive.
No, yeah, it's early, right? I mean, there were not a ton of digital pinball games at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I remember noticing the first time I played this. So this came about because of me scrolling through the TurboGrafx library, exhausting my familiarity with a lot of the titles and things that had been recommended, and then clicking on something because it had the word devil in the title. And I kind of do that with certain game platforms I'm unfamiliar with. Not that I seek the devil. I'm saying I just look out for like, what are like weird titles? Because we had titles like Devil's Crush way back then that like, why? What is the Devil's Crush? Like, this isn't making, you know what I mean? Like that, or like Samurai Ghost. I remember being attracted to. Like, what is Samurai Ghost? Is that, you know? And like, they're cool games in the end. But it was one of those, and I fired it up, and the first thing I like felt was, it feels like Iwata's pinball game for Famicom, NES, etc. That it has that kind of multi-screen pinball table. This one's 3 screens, which is super cool. I love having the like kind of layered action happening on this table. And the game itself, I mean, yeah, Mark set it up that it's more video gamey pinball than it is pinball-y pinball. And in this, you're kind of moving the ball around the table. There's little soldiers that march on little demonic soldiers that march on the table. Skull heads, dragon heads. There's little castles and things all throughout. The main focus, though, is the she giant. I don't know if that's official canon. Like, I don't know if that goes outside of just the U.S. release, calling her the she giant. But I think she's kind of the main feature. Oddly enough, the TurboGrafx box art is awful. It just is. It's this weird green dude looking face that, I don't know. But the Japanese version of it is that same she-devil, just kind of in plain focus, like really nice, like 80s painted style. The Genesis port, which is actually called Dragon's Fury, has probably, Mark pointed out, the best box art of any of it, where it's just, it looks like no, it's not like quite Frank Frazetta, but it's like, I don't know, it's got that classic fantasy, it looks like a heavy metal magazine cover. And as you play through and you're hitting the ball around, you end up in these kind of sub-stages where you have to take on mini bosses or little things, and completing all of those, you know, you eventually, that's how you score higher. If you complete one of those, you get kind of your ball changes color and you get a ball bonus. It's higher score. I mean, it's pinball at the end of the day, but I think it's fun pinball. How important do you think the soundtrack is to a game like this, Matt?
Oh, oof. I probably important. I mean, it's the same gameplay loop over and over and over, right? And then, but like, it's just sound effects, so it'd be a lot of quiet otherwise. So yeah, I guess it is important to have something, because it would be a lot of quiet and just the same sound effects. And I didn't really. This is a good question, because I didn't really kind of like listen, but I'm sure with the power of the TurboGrafx back then, like I don't know how many sound effects they could get away with without kind of them starting to sound the same.
I think there are. I mean, yeah, there's that, but there's also that part where like games of that era can have too many sounds playing at once, so something will get cut in favor of another, you know what I mean? So you'll have that kind of thing where effects get turned off in favor of music. But yeah, I think there's a life, like a spring to the music in this game a good bit. Mark, you mentioned the way it looks. What did you feel first seeing the animations on the screen? Because I feel like that's a big part of this too.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was not expecting it to look like the way it did, or for it to animate or move the way it did. It kind of reminded me of Contra 3 a little bit, for some reason. I don't know why this is the first game I thought of, but it has similar like aesthetics when it comes to pixel art and stuff. Especially the skulls, because that one boss in Contra 3, like, rips open the door. It's like a giant Terminator.
Yeah, that 3-head mini boss in this game. I don't know if you guys saw that one or not, but that exactly reminds me of that Contra 3 moment.
Yeah, but super impressed. Like, there was no like real like stuttering of any kind, no like frame issues really. Like, the fact that the TurboGrafx version has a mode for like slow or fast, like it says a lot about it. I mean, it has to live up to the Turbo name, I guess, too, right? So
yeah,
very impressed by the visuals.
The neat thing too, I mean, we're talking specifically about the TurboGrafx version here, but I did play a good bit of the Genesis version as well, just to compare. And the neat thing about the Genesis version, so Devil's Crush also would lead to a spiritual successor called Demon's Tilt, which maybe modern on modern platforms more people might be familiar with. It's out on, I think, everything current: Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC. And something that Demon's Tilt does, Devil's Crush, or rather Dragon's Fury on Genesis does, in the right-hand side of the screen, because they kind of end up squishing the pinball table a bit, but the right-hand side of the screen has your scores there, some other information about like how well you've done on the bonus challenges, that kind of stuff, like what your score was in each of those as you complete those. Did either of you beat the game?
No.
It's a weird question to ask because of it being pinball, but
well, I mean, it does have an ending, so
it does. So I'm curious about your ending, because I stumbled onto it. I will say first, I used the password system because I wanted to get as close as I could. So what I turned on was infinite balls. Okay. And I just played for a super long time, and I ended up with, I don't think I did all of the things to naturally get the ending, but I hit the score limit where you can't get the score any higher. And that triggered the N ending. I don't know if it was the ending. So what ending did you see, Mark?
It was it's the girl, where like the woman's head or whatever that's just on the map.
Yeah.
All that is gone. Like, she has like the brace around her head or whatever, like that crown, whatever, like that's just gone, and she's like holding the pinball basically. And then it says the devil's destroyed or something like that, and then kind of leaves it like on a cliffhanger.
Okay, that's the one where it says like, the devil something has been defeated, something, and then it says but ... and then there's no
main menu.
It just takes you back to the title screen, I guess.
Yeah,
because you will indefinitely always be in this battle between the devil and the woman.
That's deep stuff in 1990, dude.
Right? So, have you guys ever played any other games from Compile? Obviously, the directly related games to Devil's Crush would be Alien's Crush, which was it predated this, but it was kind of more of an, like, if this is Demons, that one is Aliens, but it still has that kind of weird, gross H.R. Giger thing to it. You know what I mean? That vibe about it. There's games that came after this on Super Famicom that are similar in nature. But they also made the Aleste series, or Power Strike, which I know longtime listeners have heard me talk about after that Aleste collection came out from M2. They also did Puyo Puyo. So they were responsible for Puyo Puyo, not only the puzzle game, but the dungeon crawler spin-off that I can't remember the name of right now. But I don't know. I've been fascinated with Compile for a few years now. I just think the games that they made when they were around were weird and different. Like, I don't know. I think today, it's tough because everything uses Unity or Unreal or Game Maker. Like, there's very fewer. All the tools have been consolidated. All the console architecture is the same, and inherently you end up. I'll say that I think that the more modern tools that we do have, they've gotten to a point where developers and teams are able to make them feel more unique. But I don't know about you guys. At the end of the 360 PS3 generation, as soon as I'd fire up an Unreal 3 game, I was like, Unreal 3. Like, you just kind of knew and you felt exactly like we were so used to it at that point. And I feel like the stuff that Compile did back then on a variety, I mean, between Game Gear and PC Engine and Genesis, all just had these very different feels to, and like you compare them to a different developer and everybody was doing their own thing. But even when everybody was doing something different, I don't know, Compile just stands out to me for some reason.
I mean, rightfully so. I think it was a little easier to stand out back then too. Like, it was, I feel like the competition wasn't as grand. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but no, I mean, there's definitely something there to make yourself distinctive, especially with limited tech.
Yeah.
People really did have to be creative and work within those limitations. And I feel like we don't really have, the limitations aren't as small now. It's like we have a bigger roof, mess around.
No, competition was certainly a lot. It was real, but you didn't have $70 billion acquisitions happening back in 1990 when this stuff was being developed, right? Like that.
Right.
But yeah, I really encourage, if you liked this one, or if listeners out there like this and you haven't checked out the other Compile stuff, if you like the pinball stuff and you just want a different flavor of pinball, they've got other pinball games from Compile. But check out the Power Strike games or Aleste games. I mean, Puyo Puyo, everybody should know Puyo Puyo at this point, right? Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, if you will. But yeah, I think they're a neat developer that made a lot of really, really fun, tight, like, experiences overall. So yeah, did your expectations change at all by the end of Devil's Crush? Matt?
It's hard to change expectations when you really didn't have any.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pinball game. It felt a little bit different because you're very much close in, much like Demon's Tilt or NES pinball. But you know, like, I don't have much exposure to pinball games. Like, I like them. Like, when I drop a couple quarters in them, like, I enjoy my time with them. But it's not something like I seek regularly. So it's kind of tough for me to have expectations on how a pinball game should play or whatever. But I mean, I overall enjoyed it. Like, yeah, I spent a good handful of hours this week, especially Saturday. I probably played it for probably like 3 hours or so. And there was a game where I felt like I just hit my peak. Probably the high score is nothing to anyone else, but like, I was just in it. Like, I kept getting some extra balls, whatever you want to call them, and kind of kept the game going, and it felt good. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really change expectations. It's a pinball game to me at the end of the day. it was fun. It was a good one. I enjoyed it much like I enjoyed the Microsoft one that came on every freaking 95 or 98 machine.
Oh man, yeah.
I enjoyed it just like I did my time with Demon's Tilt, I think 2 years ago or whenever that came out. Yeah, good time.
Mark, what's the final word on Devil's Crush? I was going to call it Demon's Tilt. That's a problem I've had since Demon's Tilt's come around.
I've been calling this Demon's Crush all week and realized I've been saying it wrong until like yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's worth checking out. The music is awesome. The visuals are great. You can have a pretty good time. Just don't spend too long with it. Just here and there. I think it's a good little snack between games. It probably might be a good palate cleanser.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where, it was only a couple years ago that I first checked this out, but since then it's just been a thing where, I don't know, like whenever I'm toying around with something new for the first time, it's not one of my like default go-tos, but I'm always like, oh, I'm going to play some Devil's Crush. Like when I got the Mister and got the TurboGrafx stuff up and running on Mister, it was one of the first things where like, let's see how Devil's Crush plays on it. And yeah, it's a ton of fun. I really, really enjoy Devil's Crush. We'll talk a bit more with Devil's Crush later on in the episode. We got some other ways to weave it back into some segments, but right now we're going to look at how, I mean, we are 10 years old now, so we're going to look back. The segment we'll come back to a couple times this year, but as we turn 10, we'll look back at news stories from 10 years ago. So we'll kind of read the headline, read a bit of the synopsis of what was happening 10 years ago today, and see kind of, I don't know, how do we feel about it now? Did we even know about it then? How do we feel? Yeah, well, yeah. Let's start with a brand new video game that just got officially confirmed. Capcom. This is January 19th, 2012, so it's a few days ago at this point. But Capcom has officially announced Resident Evil 6. The game is currently fully in development and scheduled for release on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on November 20th, 2012, with a PC version to follow. So were you guys following this back then? I know both of you have played this.
Yes. Didn't it come out later that year?
It should, yeah. It was announced January 19th and then released November 12th, according to this, was the scheduled release date.
Yeah, I was following this like a hawk. I think I remember being pumped about it, of course, because I don't know if I had played 5 yet at this time. I definitely would have seen a playthrough of it, but I don't know if I've actually physically would have played 5. But obviously at this point, I've fallen in love with 4. I was ready for the next chapter, and I don't think the news story's here, but I remember when it was revealed, like, this is going to be the one that has Chris and Ada and Leon and everyone. Hey, everyone's here. Super Smash Brothers style. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly like this story at that, this one in particular, but I remember the hype train to Resident Evil 6 up until the last moment where I canceled my pre-order for Madden.
This does, you canceled your pre-order for Madden?
Madden 13, yeah. I did not like the Rocky. I remember at the tail end of this, that demo came out. I didn't like the visual. I didn't like the camera angle. There were some things. Also, it got bumped up earlier. And Madden 13, the one with Calvin Johnson, I think, came out, and it seemed promising.
This one, at the time of announcement, it does talk about how you will play as Leon and Chris. A leak from an hour before the announcement mentioned that Ada was a playable, unlockable third playable character with her own storyline. But they did not include that in the official announcement from what I can tell. Mark, were you following this one closely at announcement?
Yes, even if I wasn't interested, I would still have to because I was working at GameStop and those commercials would play constantly. That's where And then there was the whole meme about the 6 looking like a giraffe,
Right.
being provocative. And
Yeah, a giraffe and a slug.
yeah. So, but I was like Matt. I was definitely into this. I think 4 brought in a lot of new fans, and then like 5 took that higher, and then like 6 being like one of the first games to like have some characters cross over for the first time. So that was really exciting. And I don't think the funny thing is that I don't think I ever got the game. I never played it. I never played it day one, and I never pre-ordered it because they had a demo. And the demo, I think, started to worry a lot of people. And that's when it started to go down.
If we do this segment again in like around September, I'm curious to see if an article talking about the demo crops up, because I think a lot of faith it's vanished. Because they came out and said they were addressing all these things like a month before the game came out.
You know what? 2012 me would have scoffed at me for playing it now.
Yeah, I remember it being announced and people being excited about it, but I felt like the Resident Evil train had left me a long time ago. Or not left me, but had passed me by, because I had never gotten into them, and I thought the logo thing was interesting, and I was excited for people that were excited about having everybody here, but yeah, I don't remember much else from it.
I would end up getting this game for Christmas. That's when I played it. I would say I knew it was shortly after, but it was there, because I remember playing it at home despite being at college.
So that was scheduled for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but today, exactly 10 years ago, a news story dropped that the Xbox 720 will be 6 times as powerful as the current generation. The next Xbox is planned to ship to retailers in late October or early November of next year, being 2013. That, according to sources close to the project, they talked about the mass production of the system's graphical processing unit. That production would go into would start by the end of 2012. Excuse me, but it would not be based on AMD's 7000 series Southern Islands GPU. Instead, derived from the 6000 series that was introduced in 2011. More specifically, it would be close to the Radeon HD 6670, offering support for DirectX 11, multi-display out, 3D, and 1080p. The chip itself currently had a market price of $79.99. Is that how much graphics cards are now? $80?
Oh yeah, sure.
800.
Last year's graphics card, right? How much is that one?
Oh yeah, 500.
3,000.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's the street retail. Let's not talk about the street price right now.
Right.
This says that in real terms, the Xbox 720's raw graphic processing power is expected to be 6 times of the Xbox 360 and 20% greater performance than the upcoming Wii U. Which is kind of impressive for the Wii U when you think about it, because I remember the Wii U being like, yeah, they finally caught up with PS3 and 360, but the fact that the Xbox One was only 20% better than Wii U, theoretically, I mean, this is all a year out. I don't know, did you guys ever follow this stuff or back then?
Yeah, sadly.
The arms race?
Yeah.
Mark?
I think through like magazines and stuff, but I wasn't paying like too close attention. Like I wasn't looking for it, but I would definitely hear about it, and just people just talking about it.
I think the headlines like this are the things that would grab you, where you're like, oh, because then of course there had to have been another one that said the PlayStation 4 will be 7 times more powerful than the, or whatever.
Or better yet,
do you think this stuff still? Yeah.
Or better yet, the comments of that article were quite interesting places to live as well.
Yeah, I don't think much of that's changed in the last 10 years either. The comments, yeah. Do you think this stuff is still important today? Whether or not a generational leap is X amount of times more powerful than the last?
I don't think a lot of consumers care about this stuff. I think the only people that do are going to be like the enthusiasts or
John Linneman.
Yeah, like your Jonathans, you know.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't think really people pay attention. Like you try to pitch a sale, like why to get this console, and you talk about that stuff, they're checked out more often than not.
Do you guys care about this? If something came out today, January 24th, 2022, that said, I don't know, that Xbox is planning the Series XX, and it is 4 times more powerful than the current one, is that exciting to you?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason. There's a reason why I got a Series X instead of a Series S at launch. There's a reason why when probably a PlayStation 5 Pro comes out, I will most likely have that as well. There's a reason why I bought the Switch OLED instead of keeping my original Switch, despite there being absolutely no hardware difference.
I honestly think that the inevitable story that says there is a Switch successor that is 4 times more, I think that's the one that I'm actually excited about.
Yeah.
Mark, why not?
Talk is cheap.
And
a lot of empty promises are often made in this industry. So, being jaded that I am, I think I just need to see it first and to see how it gets utilized, whatever. Because a lot of features get promised and then don't ever end up really happening much, or it gets altered or changed in some way last minute,
or it comes out like years down the road.
Right, or it's saved for like the next system after it or something, right?
Yeah, and then like all these numbers come from benchmarks too, where the benchmarks like they're practical, but they're also impractical at the same time because you need to have the system running behind it. Like everyone talks, like I think it was like this generation where it was like, oh, it has 8 gigs of RAM, but like 3 of it is necessary for Xbox's dashboard to run at all times. So it's only truly 5 gigabytes for these games to use. How powerful is that going to be? Like all that shit like starts to come out, and it's so dumb. Where I think what Mark said, like, let's just see it in action, see how the developers actually use the hardware in front of them.
Yeah, that dashboard stuff, I remember those specific arguments where that was such a... I mean, that was the reason why you didn't buy an Xbox One and why you bought the... Man. We also found out... well, this would have been tomorrow if you're listening to this episode, first day it drops, but January 25th, 2012, Blizzard announced that there will be no BlizzCon in 2012. Instead, the next convention would take place in 2013, and that the company was taking some time to focus on development of StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm, and Diablo 3. So... did you guys care about BlizzCon back in 2012?
I think at most I played a little bit of Diablo 2 with some friends, and I was trying out World of Warcraft, or I wanted to get into it, but I definitely missed that train for sure. Like, I knew a bunch of people that were hardcore into it, so that was kind of getting me hyped to play it, but I never, like, was married to any of it, so it didn't really affect me much.
Matt, were you into any Blizzard stuff back then?
Not really, because the 2 reasons. One, Blizzard was the World of Warcraft machine, which I gave 2 fucks about. And also, a lot of Blizzard was very PC heavy at this time. Remember, Diablo didn't come to console until like much later, so
right.
I did not have the PC at this time. Actually, I had like an older MacBook, which was like 10 years old at that point, so I wasn't running anything on that. So yeah, not really. I think it was interesting, but like I didn't really care about Diablo. I never played it. World of Warcraft, not my thing. StarCraft, I never got into. So yeah, didn't do much.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't until Diablo 3 hit consoles and Overwatch, which is mentioned in this story, would have kind of like, I don't know, brought me into that fold a bit and made me curious about that. Because I was paying attention to BlizzCon for a few years there, but I mean, we haven't had one in some time. So, yeah, I want to mention the two things that are mentioned here. So, it says that Blizzard has several other projects in active development, including a possible console version of Diablo 3, which obviously we would get, as well as a, quote, next-gen MMO that seems it will incorporate in-game advertisements, which I think that is the original iteration of Overwatch, right?
I think.
Because that Overwatch was originally an MMO, and then they pivoted.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like the true successor to World of Warcraft in a way, and then it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a pivot because everyone panicked when the pivot. Everyone was saying this game was trash without even Blizzard making a first-person shooter. They don't know what they're doing.
There's another news story from January 23rd that says very little is known about Blizzard's in-development next-gen MMO, currently being referred to as Titan. Although a recent job posting reveals an interesting piece of information. It says they're looking to, quote, work with major consumer brands to facilitate product placement and licensing within the world of Blizzard Entertainment's next-gen MMO that enhances gameplay experience.
I remember people wanting, or they were speculating World of StarCraft.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was StarCraft Ghost as well, too, remember? World of StarCraft would have been cool.
Yeah.
Still could be cool. They should do that.
They could do that now.
They got the power, you know? There's another thing here that is mentioned, that there potentially could be 3 games released throughout 2012. One of them, Blizzard Dota is mentioned here. I'll just say that. So they mentioned Blizzard Dota, which is crazy to me that Dota is named here, right? Which means Dota was a thing at this point. Dota 2 was 2013, right? Or was Dota 2?
I don't know. Is it like the launch of the beta though? Because that was in beta for a bit before.
Yeah. 2013, I think, was the launch of the beta, but that is still around. Here they mentioned Blizzard Dota, so it's a code name based on something, and that game eventually Heroes of the Storm, and then now not around. You can't play that anymore, right? It's offline. Or can you play it? They just don't support it.
I think you can play it. They don't support it.
So I guess looking back 10 years, I mean, did you... Obviously, the $70 billion elephant in the room is the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King by Microsoft this week. Microsoft Gaming. Sorry, I don't want to confuse anyone. Microsoft Gaming, which, you know, I've got my Microsoft Gaming Series X over there. You mentioned you bought the Microsoft Gaming Series X over the Microsoft Gaming Series S. So, yes, very important we get that brand recognition out there. No, Xbox bought them. Looking back 10 years at these things, I mean, like, would you have ever thought that the idea behind a BlizzCon, that the games involved, the company involved, would fall under Xbox?
No, I didn't think Bethesda would fall under Xbox, if you asked me 10 years ago. And that was, I mean, think about it, that one's a lot more realistic than this one.
I know. Yeah, about 10 times less realistic as this one, I would say. I don't. Yeah, Mark, what do you think?
Like, would I believe that would happen? Like, no. Yeah, I mean, we really didn't have acquisitions like this. I think at some point later this year, the news story will probably happen where Sony had acquired Gaikai, which was the streaming technology behind OnLive. Or was it a competitor OnLive? No, I can't remember. We'll find out later this year. But
that was what, 400 million or something, which is insane.
It was a lot when Sony was in the red too.
Yeah, but they did that and got them ready for PlayStation Now, which has been, I mean, it's good. The tech works. It's fine, but like,
I forget how long it took for Mojang to be acquired. But to me, that was like the first big news about that type of thing.
Yeah. That one was big because, like, with the Sony ones, it was always smaller things. It was like
a studio.
Sony bought Sucker Punch. Like, yeah, of course they did, right? But it was not too much more than something like that. Where this is, because even the Mojang one was small compared to this.
But at the time, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, not at all. At the time, it was like, man, they spent $2 billion to get Minecraft. Guess they really want those toys in Target.
And it's so funny how that like story, like, and all the reaction is so similar to the Activision Blizzard one. It's like, oh my god, they're gonna pull Call of Duty off of PlayStation. It's like it's the same panic that there was when Mojang was bought, but essentially Minecraft.
Yeah. So really quickly, two more news stories. We'll touch on this one really quickly, just as a kind of, I don't know what to call it, but PlayStation announced that Starhawk will be launching May 8th, 2012. Who remembers Starhawk?
I mean, I never played it, but yeah.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't put the box art on it.
All I remember from Starhawk is it coming out, it being a successor to Warhawk, and the main character getting added to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Main character being Emmett Graves. But I did not play it. And I don't remember at all what it played like. Yeah, I have no idea.
Wasn't it like a third? It was supposed to be like third-person shooter, but you can get into aircraft and fly around. It was supposed to be like this big multiplayer game. I just don't think it picked up traction.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I don't.
And then our last news story from 10 years ago. This one was actually a few weeks prior to the recording date. But on January 6th, 2012, Shigeru Miyamoto revealed that he's working on a new unannounced game. This is in addition to the previously announced Luigi's Mansion 2 and Pikmin 3. What was this game?
Miyamoto did work on
some
Splatoon,
digging.
right?
Okay, I got one vote for Splatoon, Mark.
I don't think it was his team, though.
What were the other games you just said?
They'd already confirmed Luigi's Mansion 2 and Pikmin 3, so he's working on something else.
This is 2012? Crap.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if... Is Galaxy 2 out already?
Yes. That was 2010.
Right. Okay.
But original, though, right?
Original.
Yeah.
And for context, this was bad time for the Wii. The Wii had a really rough 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Wii U got confirmed. Then Skyward Sword came out, and then it was kind of like, all right, well, now we have to wait for the Wii U. Because Skyward Sword was the last big thing, and they're definitely not going to put anything else out, right? So then we're here 2 months removed from Skyward Sword's release, and we find out he's working on a new game.
I'm going to say...
I did some digging. Go ahead.
Nintendo Land.
I agree with you. I think that might be what it is. I thought Splatoon initially, Matt, but I looked into that. Development on that started with a prototype in 2013 from one of the Animal Crossing producers. Because I was like, okay, well, Splatoon was probably the next big original thing, right?
But yeah, I don't think he worked on that. That's what I was saying. I don't think he ever really...
He's like marked as general producer. So it's, I dug in. I thought maybe Star Fox, but Star Fox was late in the Wii U's life cycle.
That's what I was thinking, but original. That's the thing that got me.
Yeah, that too. Star Fox Zero technically had existed in some form since 2008, There's a quote here that says, whenever we create new hardware, we do some experiments with it, but on Wii, we didn't release any Star Fox games. So we took some of the experimentation that we'd done and the assets that we used then and used them for the experimentation we were doing with the Wii U. So there's potential that he was toying around with that, but Nintendo Land might be the answer. I don't have a definitive answer. There's no follow-up to this story that says, like, back when he talked about, I have no confirmation on what it is, but it's, yeah. 10 years ago today. We'll keep coming back to that. It's fun to see how much things have changed. Looking at just those headlines, it feels like nothing has changed at all. Right? Like, everyone's curious about what Nintendo is up to behind the curtains. Sony announced a game, first party, that nobody cares about. No BlizzCon. Rumors of more impressive hardware. And the hope that a Resident Evil game will be good again, right? No, the Resident Evil's had some good hits lately. Let's move into our roundtable question for the week. Or our question of the week, if you will. I would like to know, Matt and Mark, what 3 companies would you combine for the next Project Cross Zone? Your 3 companies do not need to be any of the 3 previous collaborators. So for listeners, if you've never heard of Project Cross Zone, it's the evolution of a series called Namco Cross Bandai? Now I don't even remember.
It was Namco Cross Capcom.
Namco Cross, thank you. Cross Capcom. The most recent iteration of it would have been on 3DS. I guess they were both on, yeah. Project Cross Zone 2. And it was a collaboration between Bandai Namco, Capcom, and Sega. Sorry, I almost read my answers to this question instead of saying the names of the publishers here. And it kind of brings together the characters in that universe, in those universes, into some story for some reason. And then as you play through this kind of isometric RPG-ish kind of thing, you can pair up characters together and see how they play. Yeah, but it's weird. You have Jill Valentine next to Kiryu Kazuma from Yakuza. There's all sorts of fun things. So I want to know, if they're going to make a new one, what 3 companies would you combine to make the next Project Cross Zone? Why don't we start with Matt? What do you got? Just hit me with the 3 companies first. I just want to hear your answers for
So no context. You want no context?
Just, yeah, who is involved?
Sega, Square Enix, Valve.
Oh boy. All right. Mark, what do you got?
Okay, I had some backup answers in case one of them was, like, 1 or 2 were taken. So,
Mark, I could already tell you I'm going a totally different direction than you, so
yeah.
You feel free.
Because I was going to say Square, but no. Konami, SNK, Crystal Dynamics.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay.
So I went with Hudson, which I guess by default is Konami, but I actually wrote only Hudson characters, Sunsoft, and Bandai. And I did Bandai for a specific reason. I'll come back to that. So, what event caused all 3 of these companies to come together in your universe, Mark?
What?
What is the canonical reason that it was? Name them again. Sorry,
Konami.
Because now we've got 9 names out there.
Yeah,
Konami,
SNK, Crystal Dynamics.
All right. So what brings these 3 together? Is there a singular event, or is it just, hey, this is an opportunity to market stuff?
I'm gonna say, Kane and Dracula are up to no good.
Okay.
Something with Kane and Dracula's castle and those lores messing with stuff.
All right.
I don't know if
Matt,
it's like
do you have a reason?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't know if I'm trying to think, maybe, I don't know if they're working together or if it's like a combat of power. Like, two vampires going at it. Like, it could only be one. I don't know. There's something there.
Matt, do you have a reason for all three of these to come together? Or I feel like you have an entire lore Bible written.
I don't have a
point.
lore Bible written. I have more of a real world reason why they all came together.
Yeah, go ahead. The grin on your face is begging you to say it, so.
Square Enix is too lazy to make a Sleeping Dogs game, but they want a new one of them.
So they come together with Square, Valve, and...
Sega.
Okay. So is this combining... I guess... What is let's go into this.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. What's the game? I'm trying to figure it out here.
This is a proper sequel to Sleeping Dogs and his lore. I don't know how we'll fit it in, but this is the proper sequel. I want Sega they chose Sega for the Yakuza series to bring into this mix. But the gameplay is not, it's not up to par. We don't, like, the grid thing's cool, but then fighting, like Mortal Kombat, actually, like Street Fighter, throw that out. We brought in Valve for the MOBA tech. We're going to do mini MOBAs as the grid base thing. Now, we can throw in the Valve characters, because who cares? This is probably already ridiculous as it is. So we can throw in a Chell or a Morgan Freeman with with his little, whatever, I forgot, what's the name of the tool? Crowbar.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, some shit. What's his name?
Gordon Freeman.
Gordon Freeman?
Gordon Freeman. That was close. Rhymes. Yeah, no. So yeah, bring in some Dota characters. Why not? We'll have a Shadow Fiend floating around. Doesn't matter. But yeah, no. This is the Valve is more there for the tech. Square, they just kind of are lending their name. Sega is going to be the one that truly builds it in a very Yakuza-like style story and game, with paying homage to the original Project X by keeping it grid-based, but the battles are now MOBAs instead of fighting.
All right. A Sleeping Dogs sequel that's a MOBA.
Right.
All right. Mark, how do Konami, SNK, and...
Crystal Dynamics.
Why do I keep... Gosh. Crystal Dynamics. How do they come together? Or what's the game, I guess?
Honestly, I think it was just still going to be the same style, like as the other ones, just like just a tactical, grid-based thing, and then becomes a more actiony fighting game. Once it gets to the battles, and
I think that core works well.
Because I was trying to think of like similar companies or maybe companies that had like similar games or related. So like, because SNK, you could still keep the fighting mechanic in there.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I just wanted Raziel and Goemon on a team. That was really my main inspiration here. I don't care how it worked. I just wanted it to work.
So would that be your one of your core pair units? Because that was one of the things in the old one, is you'd have pair units between whatever, Chun-Li and somebody else, like Goemon and Raziel. That would be a key pair. Yeah,
like definitely those two, and I guess like for SNK, just throw in Terry Bogard just because.
Matt, did you have like a pair unit in mind for yours?
I didn't even realize this pairing mechanic, but whatever the name of the Sleeping Dogs main character is, I forgot. And Ryu.
Oh, I can't remember.
Not Ryu.
Yeah,
why can't I remember
Ryo?
Names? Not No.
Would you go with Ryo from Shenmue?
No. Damn it! What's the not? I can't think of who's the main dude from Yakuza. The first 7 or 9 games.
Kiryu.
God damn. That's who I'm thinking of. Not Ryu.
You were close.
So, for mine, for Hudson, Sunsoft, and Bandai Namco, I know that Bandai's already involved with this, but there's a part of Bandai that's not been involved with any of the Project Cross Zone games that I've been aware of, and that is a property named Digimon, near and dear to Mark's heart. And that is the crux of my story for Project Cross Zone 3, is that this is actually a Digimon game where the main character has to use existing digital properties to fight the end of the world from happening. So they combine Jason from Blaster Master, Davey of Chameleon Twist, Batman of the video game Batman by Sunsoft, with Bomberman, Zonk, the Necromancer from the titular Necromancer, Jazeta from Newtopia, everybody's favorite hero, Parl from Record of Lodos War, Parn, I think it is. Sorry, autocorrect screwed me there. I want Master Higgins from Adventure Island, Joe Osugi from Ninja 5-0, everybody all coming together in this weird Digimon world, but also bringing some Bandai characters that I don't think have been accounted for, such as, like, just the entirety of Gundam. Like, let's get Batman in a Gundam. Let's get a Gundam made out of Scissor Man from Clock Tower. Like, can we make that happen? Can we also incorporate Scissor Man into one of these teams? Like, maybe he would team up with Mr. Driller. I feel like that would be an interesting thing. You've got a scissor guy and a drill guy. But also another one that's not been around in any of the Project Cross Zone games is Dark Souls. That whole universe, not there, right? So you could start throwing in some big boss fights, revisit some of those from a more Digimon perspective in that kind of battle sequence. Something there to all of this. I mean, you've got... I don't think Soul Calibur's really made an appearance in any of the Cross Zone games. Sailor Moon, which is technically under the Bandai wing. Taiko no Tatsujin, let's get the little drums. They already have their own spin-off RPG adventure.
You're on the subject of Soul Calibur, because if you do Soul Calibur, you open the doors for all kinds of guest characters.
I was thinking long-term here, you know?
Yeah. Some good DLC.
I think... Exactly, right? Especially with the Digimon thing, you could really spin out the DLC. And as we're talking about all these companies coming together and collaborating or being acquired, like, let's get some synergy happening between some of these. I want a man team. Get your Bomberman, Batman, and Pac-Man all together. Man. But I also kind of want, like, the scary team. So we would have the main character from Splatterhouse. You'd get Scissorman in there, and you get Sir Cucumber from Princess Tomato and the Salad Kingdom. Get everybody all fighting together. I want the kind of weird team in Star Parodier, the Parodius-esque game for the PC Engine. You could just play as a PC Engine that shoots CDs. Let's get that in there as a playable character. All of this, I think, could lend itself well. Get that combined with the Prince from Katamari and Yokopu from Trip World. Sorry, I'm just naming characters and games at this point, but there's something here. There's a Digimon game waiting to happen, I think.
Yeah, if Digimon Survive doesn't happen, you have this to lean back on.
Yeah.
But it's making me
I
think
hope
of
Digimon
like
Survive still happens.
All these characters getting like a Digimon treatment. That's like what was going through my head. So, like,
I think that's the thing, right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, my game, you have Red Pyramid Thing teamed up with Gex.
Oh man, I forgot Gex would be involved with that. Yeah.
Just
pretty good.
Just not giving a crap.
Would Lara Croft technically fall under that? Because I know it was different. I guess at this point,
sure.
Lara Croft's under Crystal Dynamics, right? So
look, if Sega can get John McClane,
sure,
I can get Lara Croft.
Yeah,
like he was actually a character in one of those games because Sega did the arcade game for Die Hard.
It's I think you do.
Oddly
Lara
enough,
Croft,
no Sonic.
Oh,
and like in
Makes
Project Cross Zone, there's no Sonic characters.
Yeah, they did some weird omissions from that. I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah,
those are I only ever played like a bit of the second one, but I think they're neat in concept. We're going to move to our next segment. Longtime listeners may recognize this one. Shopping for somebody else. This is some scenarios that are presented to our panel of experts that it's a little moment where maybe somebody didn't get what they wanted, right? Someone asked for a specific gift and someone else with the best of intentions just a bit confused, could not get them exactly what they wanted.
Or unforeseen scenarios.
Yes, exactly. So, because we have a panel of experts here who understand video games, we're going to help save the gift-giving experience by finding recommendations to suit the player's needs. Matt, you want to take it away with our scenarios for the week?
Yeah. All right. So this one, we're looking forward to the future, because we might have a future problem here. It's 2024, and Matt loves playing Call of Duty on PlayStation. He stays up most nights playing Warzone with his buddies. Recently, though, Uncle Phil has come over and taken away his Call of Duty, and told him he can no longer play it as a PlayStation. He obviously likes shooters, and he has a PlayStation, so where does he go next?
Well, I think first thing you do is write a strongly written letter to Uncle Phil, because Uncle Phil told Wall Street Journal or someone that he was not going to take PlayStation away. He was not going to take Call of Duty away from Matt's PlayStation. So now he's going back on his word. And I think that on Matt's PlayStation, I think here's the thing. Back in 2022, Jim Ryan didn't listen to anybody, but a bunch of people warned that this day could come and everyone should be prepared. So work had been steadily continuing on the 2023 release that fell quiet at launch because it didn't really launch that great. But here we are in 2024, and Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Firefly Fight is now in its third season and is actually performing quite well. It's on a different trajectory. We've got a whole different thing to kind of keep everybody engaged. There's multiple game modes at this point. I think for Matt, the new Last of Us multiplayer game can start to scratch that shooter itch. It is free to play, so it's not, you don't have to jump in and spend a lot of money, but you'll be able to get special backpacks that are different colors. You can get keychains on your backpack for 99 cents a piece. So that's, something similar. And they have seasonal things where occasionally you can play as Viggo Mortensen from The Road or John McClane from Die Hard. Not just because he was in Project Cross Zone, but because to keep up with Warzone, they've got to they got to keep it fresh, keep it fancy. Hey. So I think if Matt just hangs out a bit and takes a look at what he's already got right under his nose.
They could also incorporate the weed skin for guns to honor what used to be on the console.
Exactly. What do you think, Mark?
Well, it sounds like you're forced to just become a true fan of the Battlefield series at this point, because you're running out of options. And if not this, then you're stuck with a lot of free-to-play shooters / battle royales that have never ceased to stop producing. So I don't know what PUBG or Fortnite has become at this point, but maybe there's something more tolerable now. Who knows? Maybe you can include your own NFT character in them. Who knows? But yeah, I think you're forced to either change camps or you're forced to get a different system. And hey, if you don't like any of that, then hey, the future is still inclusive, because you can still have a port of Duke Nukem Forever. All else fails.
Man, that game does not go away, does it?
God, no, it's here forever.
Funnily enough, quick side note, when I was doing research for stories from 10 years ago, one of the stories was this week on PlayStation Network, and Duke Nukem Forever was made available this week on PlayStation Network 10 years ago. Last night, as I was exploring the sale on the Xbox store for backwards compatible games, Duke Nukem Forever
Mm-mm.
It won't die. Matt, who else? What other life can we change for somebody?
Giovanni's. Giovanni.
Giovanni.
Obviously from Italy. Also a big
okay.
fan of politics. Recently, though, he's had this weird itch for a Final Fantasy game just out of nowhere. Unfortunately, though, for some dumb reason, the Italian government has banned both Final Fantasy VII OG and Remake for him to buy, so he can't play the 7s. You can stick in the Final Fantasy realm, or you can go, your other Final Fantasy types games. What have you recommended for Giovanni to get this itch taken care of?
He's just broadly interested in anything Final Fantasy related.
He's got a weird itch all of a sudden. Paid attention to politics, saw something maybe, who knows, got interested in a Final Fantasy game all of a sudden. But can't be 7.
Politics. He's Italian, and he can't play Final Fantasy VII.
I wouldn't lean on the politics. It was the way to get the joke across. No 7s, though. The Italian government banned it for unknown reasons.
Sounds like he's forced to become a Battlefield fan. No, honestly,
so Matt and Giovanni have a lot in common.
Yeah. Honestly, go back a step. Play 6. Whether it's the original or the Pixel remaster, it still has a similar aesthetic to 7 a little bit. There's some industrial themes in there. And also, instead of you can't fight a giant house, but you get to fight a train. So I think it's a good trade-off. And I think that cast is just as well-loved as 7. I think those are the two that usually, I feel like, are competing a lot, even though they're in different categories of 2D and 3D. I think there's still something there.
Also, probably a main baddie that's equal to Sephiroth as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, you've inspired me. I think a great answer here is, cannot play Final Fantasy VII. And we also cannot play new games from Konami. So I'm going to recommend Giovanni take a step that I've been taking lately, which is to not be upset that we can't play new games from Konami, but play games that are new to you from Konami. After just recently completing Metal Gear Solid, I've started my journey on Silent Hill, but after that, I'm going to go through Suikoden, which I've had purchased since the PSN scare of 2021. I say go to Suikoden. You get a wide cast of characters, right? You get a wild and fun story to play along with. And you can carry your progress into Suikoden 2, if I'm not mistaken, and Suikoden 3, if I'm also not also mistaken. I think Suikoden's the way to go. Granted, you should buy it digitally because copies of that are historically expensive.
I realized I never gave an answer for the last one. Mine would have also been Battlefield.
Yeah.
But for this one, you can go two ways, depending on Giovanni's taste. If he wants to see upgraded visuals for certain reasons, I would suggest 15, because 7 Remake and 15 play kind of similarly. And then, also that mechanic character kind of resemble Tifa in a way. And then I was going to say 9. I never played 9, but I think 9 is the most close to 7, and it's well liked from the community that I'm aware of. So 9 would have been my answer.
I wouldn't sleep on 8 either. People love 8.
I know Ben likes 8. That's
yeah, but that modern re-release of it too, especially, has the same similar stuff to Final Fantasy VII, where you can 4x speed and all that fun stuff. I'll play that one day.
all right. We have a fan. His name is Chad, and he was excited.
Hey, Chad.
He was excited to try out Demons. Oh, you see, I wrote it. You see, when I wrote the script, I fucked up. He was excited to try out Devil's Crush. After we announced it was our game for this week, wrote in, enjoy the pinball aspect, but love the demon aesthetic. Now, he's played Doom already on the touch bar of a MacBook Pro, so he's ready for another cool demon-type game. What is he playing next?
Besides Demon's Tilt? Oh, hold on. I think I literally have this open in a tab on my... Shoot, I closed the tab.
So it's just anything with demons in it? Doesn't have to be...
He likes the aesthetic.
Okay.
You know, when I write these, I don't think of my answers then. I just think of them on the fly now. So, I don't have an answer.
I got one. It is, it's called Curse. It's a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up for Mega Drive. Never officially released outside of Japan, but Matt and Mark, you'll be able to see it. But listeners, just type in Curse Mega Drive and look at the cover of it. Tell me this does not have Devil's Crush vibes to it. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's like a... But it's a cool shooter with that. I think also, like, you could go down the R-Type. R-Type's got some weird... It's not necessarily demons, but it's just, like, weird monsters in space that you're shooting. But I think you take another... If we're going demons, I think you go with something like that. There's a lot of weird shooters you can check out that are relative.
Kind of torn. I'm between two at the moment, but I think if you're looking for a good time and not a long time, I'm gonna say Devil's Daggers. It's a fun little
that was
fun little PC game. I think that has a cool aesthetic. That is a very quick to learn, hard to master game because it's just an onslaught of demons and you're just shooting daggers out of your hand the whole time. And just try to see how long you can go with it. And aside from that, if he has a Switch, and wait, is it in the Switch library for online? I'm not sure. Maybe not. But you can find other ways, I guess. Demon's Crest. I feel like it is, but maybe I'm wrong.
Is it the Capcom one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is on there.
Because you're playing as the villain or one of the enemies from Ghosts and Goblins.
That is on there. Sorry, I was thinking of Devil's World for a second. Yeah, Demon's Crest is on. Yep.
Yeah, but that one that has some cool pixel art and aesthetic for sure.
I'm gonna assume because Chad listens to us, he likes old video games and has a PS3 laying around. Demons, Souls. Names right in the...
Oh, yeah.
Slay some big demons.
Fire that up.
Yeah.
It's got a good grimy aesthetic to it, too, which is great. Yeah.
Hard as nails, like Devil's Crush was. They were trying to get to that end.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I got one more. We're going to be helping out Mackenzie. Mackenzie recently got into gaming, so it was brand new to, like, the whole business and everything. But she's fallen in love with Activision Blizzard games specifically, like Diablo and StarCraft. With the news that broke this week, though, she realized that there's a lot more to Activision Blizzard than just, like, 3 studios and, like, Call of Duty, Diablo, and StarCraft. So, let's help her twofold. Let's get her away from Activision Blizzard. And what are other games like StarCraft and Diablo that we could recommend? Also, if she wants to stay in Activision Blizzard, what old properties that have been dormant for a bit now because everyone's working on Call of Duty can she go back and revisit?
What does she currently like? I'm sorry. She likes StarCraft and Diablo?
Yeah, like StarCraft and Diablo. She just kind of fell in love with the Activision Blizzard stuff. I don't think she had enough money to pony up for World of Warcraft, but she probably would have been involved in that too.
Okay. And she's looking on any platform, or...
I think we just recommend something. I wouldn't worry about the platform. Let's help her out. Let's let her explore more of that library of Activision Blizzard that she might not be aware of because all those studios work in Call of Duty now. And
okay. We want to keep it within the
I said twofold. One. What's another thing outside of Activision Blizzard, like StarCraft, Diablo, like those games? But then,
yep.
Also inside, but Legacy that we don't see anymore.
Well, I think I heard you say that she also loved Halo Infinite, but was very curious about Atrocitus and not Atrocitus, that's a comic book character. Atriox and all of the villains, the Banished in Halo Infinite, but not sure where they came from. I think she should marry her love of Halo Infinite with her love for StarCraft and check out Halo Wars 2, which features the Banished as the main antagonist, gives her the RTS itch to scratch. And because of the power of Xbox Game Pass, or Microsoft Gaming Game Pass, I guess, she can play it on basically anything. You can stream that game now. You can play it on PC, play it on Xbox, and it works just the same anywhere you go. I think that's the start. I guess I'll let Mark, I'm going to think about something from the old Activision bucket she can dig into.
Yeah, I would have probably recommended that one too, for sure. But for the more Diablo side of it, there are tons of alternatives you can get into. You could probably get into older ones like Baldur's Gate if you wanted, or find some couple indie ones that are on Steam, like Grim Dawn or Path of Exile is a good one. But if you want a more maybe animated approach, I would say Torchlight, I think, is pretty good. I like their approach to it. They kind of do what Diablo doesn't really think about or consider. So they kind of like add some quality of life improvements to that genre of game. And as for Legacy, I think you should look into Raven. I think they have a lot of classic hits. And if I'm not mistaken, they were behind Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. Which was one of my first exposures to them, and love that game. Jedi Academy is also good, but there's something about the second one that just has charm to it.
If you're still thinking, Joe, I'll hop in. Give you
an
extra second. For going outside of Activision Blizzard, I'm going to do two recommendations. One's outside the mold a little bit. The first one, though, Pillars of Eternity by Obsidian. I think that game is endless and is very much up the Diablo alley. But two, if she likes strategy games, let's do the more hands-off approach of the strategy, like the actual gameplay. Civ 5, wherever Civ are on now. Let's go like real strategy. Let's get real dumb with it. I think that could be another potential thing she has not touched yet that she's gonna like. As far as Activision, I gotta go with the classics, either Spyro or Crash. With her just getting the game in, I don't think she realizes what it was like back in the day, and I think that would be a good exposure to see what things were like a couple generations ago.
Yeah, go play Tenchu. I don't know.
What's Tenchu again? I remember the name.
It's like Sekiro before Sekiro.
It's just very stealthy ninja assassination stuff.
Probably not what she's looking for, but trying to think of an Activision property, trying to like not look it up and think. And yeah, I think Crash. Otherwise, it's like Guitar Hero, but
I thought you were going to say Tony Hawk, screaming from the rooftop.
Yeah, but I'm trying to keep it relative to what she's into. No, I mean, if she's never played Tony Hawk and you want a real RPG, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Tell you what. Yeah.
Does have stats.
Yeah, I'm glad we're always happy to help the people of the world find video games to play and make recommendations based on their current predicament.
Or future, in some cases.
Correct. We're going to jump into a brand new segment for this season called A Game by Its Trophy. So we've got a list here. We're going to do this twofold. I've got some stuff to surprise Mark and Matt with, and then Matt has come up with some trophies for Devil's Crush. But first, we're going to jump through. We've got a list. You're going to either hear a combination of the game title, the trophy title, or the condition the trophy is unlocked, with one of those three pieces missing. And you'll have to guess which missing piece it is. So we've got three I'm going to save for the end. But let's start with first, the video game is Infamous for the PlayStation 3. The trophy title is Dr. Cole. Mark, Matt, how do you unlock Dr. Cole?
Are these real trophies? They sound familiar.
These are all real trophies.
All right.
I never played Infamous, so I don't know what you can and can't do in these games.
You can self-heal. That's where I'm going with it.
Okay.
Can
you interact with pedestrians?
Yes, that's it.
Can you resuscitate or revive?
Yes, you can.
Is that what this is?
You can.
That's how you get good
karma. The condition for Dr. Cole is to heal 250 pedestrians.
Holy shit! All right.
That's not that hard. It's really
good work
in general. And when you absorb energy, do you also heal yourself, or is it just absorbing more energy for your powers? I can't remember that now.
I can't remember. I don't know if it's just filling up that lightning meter or what. And they should make another Infamous game.
Dude,
I tell you what.
I should go back and I never played the
First Light.
Well, that or the original either.
Oh, Second Son. Second Son was good.
I never played Second Son, so maybe.
I liked it a bit.
Maybe.
All right, our next on the list is BioShock. The trophy's name, Historian. How do you unlock the trophy Historian in the video game BioShock?
My gut is to collect all the audio tapes.
Mark?
I had a similar thought.
Yes, correct. It is find every audio diary. I thought about going the other way with this one and making it, giving you the trophy name and the condition and seeing if you could unlock, if you could figure out what the title was.
That could have been a lot of games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I feel like BioShock was the one that set it for that. So our next one on the list, I'm going to give you the trophy title, which is cleared for field duty, and the condition for unlock, which is complete the final test in the prologue. Which video game is this trophy from? Cleared for field duty, complete the final test in the prologue. I will say, everything that I'm talking about in these lists are video games that the both of you have played.
I was leaning towards Call of Duty, but they don't do prologues.
Yeah, that's the part that's throwing me off.
I'm trying to think. Did Halo 1 have a testing prologue zone?
You just had like a calibration thing, but it wasn't really like a chapter or anything.
Yeah, it was like a...
But they were tests, though. They kind of... Didn't you end up doing something?
It was just a look up and left and right, and then you get ambushed.
It's not Halo 1, I'll tell you that. It's not a first-person game, I'll tell you that.
Oh, that's where I was going. Field duty.
Cleared for field duty. The final test in the prologue. So not in the first or second or third episode. The prologue.
Yeah, that's tough.
I can answer some clarifying questions. If you want to start to narrow it, ask away.
What system?
Modern platforms. PlayStation. Well, it debuted PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC.
All right, that at least eliminates Killzone and Resistance. Oh, it's not first person. I keep thinking first person.
It's third person.
Gears of War?
Multi-platform.
Oh, you did say multi-platform. I'm just thinking third person.
No, yeah.
Damn, I can't get my head out of first person. It's screwing me up.
Ooh, wait. Never mind. No. Metal Gear Rising came out before PS4. It's like they have that whole training section. I thought that.
Yeah, I'm like thinking, but all the from experience recently, I know that all the Metal Gear Solid games do not open like that.
How about if I tell you the game has had 2 sequels? This game has had 2 sequels, but it was not the first in its series.
Is it Modern Warfare? No, that's PS3.
It is not.
Or 360. It's not first person. God damn, I gotta get away from the
Also,
first.
yeah, also not first. I wasn't gonna.
I told you I can't get my. Oh man!
Stop it.
I don't know. I'm serious. I'm stuck on the first person, so I'm no help, Mark. Sorry.
All right, are you tapping?
I'm tapping, but I'll let Mark. Mark, please keep going.
I'll ask. Can I ask for the publisher?
That's a complicated situation.
Okay.
I guess this, when it was first released, Square Enix.
Oh. Tomb Raider?
Close. It was also on Square Enix's list of disappointing commercial numbers, despite being disappointing to.
Oh,
commercial
Hitman!
numbers.
Hitman!
It is Hitman.
Because he had the boat one. Well, that's what I
right.
It. Yeah.
Good one.
All right, I was worried about these being too easy. Next one. Our trophy title is Enter the Zone, and the condition to unlock is activate the zone mechanic. Which video game is this?
Zone mechanic.
What video game has a...
So my first thought was Zone of the Enders, which is not correct. It's not Destiny, is it?
No, it's not.
I have the AutoZone jingle stuck in my head.
Get in the zone.
Enter the
Get in
zone.
the zone, man.
But I think it's get in the zone.
Fuck.
Yeah. Zone mechanic is that's what's throwing me off. How do you make a mechanic with what?
The zone.
The hell is zoning? Like what?
I can describe the zone mechanic if that helps.
Yeah.
It slows down time and freezes some of the action on the field.
Metal Gear Rising.
Not quite. A little bit newer than Metal Gear Rising. I'll tell you, you activate it by pressing R2 or RT.
It slows down.
Slows down time. You enter the zone.
Oh, is it I don't think this is it, but it's not
Bayonetta 2?
That's a good guess. Not that.
Is it Control?
It's not Control.
It's not that I can't think of the name of it now. Shit. It's not that movie, TV show, video game that Remedy did.
Quantum Break or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, this is another game that all three of us are very, very, very familiar with. We like this game a lot.
Oh, I feel so bad now.
I know. Fuck.
Oh! Tetris Effect.
Tetris Effect is the correct answer.
I'm thinking Combat. Yeah, no. I get locked into a zone.
It makes sense now. Zone. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, let's see how you do with this one, Combat Boy. The trophy title is Check Out My Dogs. And the condition is not go to a Mission Barbecue. The condition is customize your dog tags. Which video game have you two played with the trophy title Check Out My Dogs unlocked by customizing your dog tags?
Master Chief Collection.
Incorrect.
Damn. I know, like, they have the dog tag icon when you're customizing.
Is it Metal Gear Rising?
Not Metal Gear Rising.
I like that we always come back to that.
It is, but it's of that era, though.
You could customize your dog tag, though, in Metal Gear Rising, can't you?
I don't even know.
Anyway. Multi-platform or nah?
multi-platform.
Okay.
In fact, it came out on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC.
Crimea 2?
Mm-mm. I would say it came out about 10 years ago.
I don't even know what was like significant to that year other than what we talked about earlier.
What did we talk about earlier?
Oh, is it related to that?
Resident Evil.
Is it Starhawk?
It's not. No, I should have done that. That would have been good. What did you say, Matt?
Resident Evil 6?
It is Resident Evil 6. Check out my dogs. Customize your dog tag.
I didn't even know they had completely...
I didn't either. I just kind of hoped that maybe Mark would have known it since he played it recently, but I guess it wasn't. I tried to find a trophy from that game that had the highest percentage of completion that, was still a little vague.
How do you... I didn't know that was... Yeah, I didn't know it was even a thing.
It's been years since I've touched that game, so I did not have a chance.
All right, let's speed run these next two, and I'll get you to the fun, the three that I've left for us. So next, the video game is Hotline Miami. The trophy name is Zookeeper. Mark, how do you unlock it?
This is, if I'm not mistaken, you have to play with each mask.
Matt?
I was going to say collect all the masks.
Matt is correct.
Okay,
collect all the masks is the trophy condition. There is a different one for like playing with specific. Yeah,
I figured the zoo
this
keeper meant like you have. Yeah, that's where I was.
And Death Stranding trophy title: Sleep tight, little BB. How do you unlock Sleep tight, little BB?
You just like cradle it to sleep.
Yeah, it's you unlock this the first time you soothe a crying BB and stop the crying.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty early on. You have to do that for the first time, I think, too. Okay. So
these first three, I'm only going to give you the trophy name, although this might prove more difficult than I thought. These three are the first trophies that the three of us ever unlocked on the PlayStation.
The fuck?
So, mine was called Fashion Sense. Any guess at the video game?
All right. Yeah, you say trophy?
Trophy. These are all on PlayStation. It does not mean that, well, in one case it is PlayStation exclusive, but I made sure I grabbed our first PlayStation trophies.
Wow.
You did not get it at launch, right?
I did not get it at launch. I got it in 2011.
I only had a PS4.
Really?
You did.
But you still get a trophy for a PS4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so Fashion Sense, for some reason, I don't even know if PlayStation Home had trophies.
I think it did, but that is not what I unlocked my first one in.
Man, imagine being excited for PS3, got all these games, and you just PlayStation Home.
That would have been me. Had I had one.
Okay, so think along those lines. Getting excited about having a PlayStation for the first time, being able to play a PlayStation game for the first time. I'll give you the condition. Choose a costume for your blank with at least one item on your head, one item on your body, and a material.
Destiny?
Earlier than Destiny. It's a PlayStation exclusive.
That's my weakness. Exclusive. So Uncharted?
It came out after Uncharted. But you're not close. I mean, you're close because it's a PlayStation exclusive, but gameplay-wise, they're very different.
Little Big Planet.
Little Big Planet.
I would never would got that.
Choose a costume for your sack person with at least one item on your head, your body, and a material.
That's
right. All right. Who wants to fire off? You want to do Matt or Mark's next?
Do Matt's.
I think I know mine.
What do you think yours is?
Is it Modern Warfare 2?
Yes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Trophy named Tag 'em and Bag 'em. What's the condition for unlock?
Is it complete the training mission or level 1?
Potentially. It says find Rojas in the favelas. Whatever that means.
Okay, that's one of the first levels. It's not the training level. It's I think the second or third level of that game.
That was the first trophy that you've got syncing with PlayStation Network.
Right, great.
And then Mark, yours was almost something different, but then I had to double check timestamps. So this was actually your first trophy. It's called Comeback Kid. This is another one similar. No guess? I'll tell you this.
I have a couple ideas. I try to think.
Hit me.
What are the first games I got? I got the PlayStation because friends talked me into getting Overwatch. But Overwatch is not the first game I played. I think I also had Doom.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. And I think I downloaded a game called Fury.
Ooh, man, yeah, Fury was very close to some of your early trophies. This is a multiplayer game that is very simple in its approach.
So is it not Overwatch?
Not Overwatch.
Wow, what did I play? Oh. I actually don't know.
We played it at a Friday night pizza party.
Is it the side-scrolling ship game?
Ship?
You're like a little spacecraft, and you keep like infinitely scrolling. That's like,
oh, Resogun?
Yeah.
No, that was one of your early ones. It is side-scrolling. There's multiple screens. I can give you a part of the condition.
Does it deal with ninjas?
Not necessarily ninjas, but there are swords and you kind of move quickly.
Duck game?
No, but in that same vein of competitive, kind of head-to-head.
Nidhogg?
Nidhogg is the game.
That was my first? Wow.
Your first trophy. Get eaten by the Nidhogg after nearly allowing your opponent to do the same.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty good. That took way longer than I thought. I did not think we were going to... yeah. Matt, you want to run us through some Devil's Crush trophies?
Yeah, want me to read you the title and give a condition for a couple of these, and I'll read off the rest, I guess?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with the first one. Mark of the Devil.
Mark of the Devil. So you're giving us the name, and we're telling you how to unlock that.
Yeah, I could probably give hints for a lot of these.
Mark of the Devil, I'm going to say, is you start your first game?
No.
I'm going to say... clearing out the cultists at the top.
No.
Final guess. Reach a high score of 666,666.
All right, I'll say that score would meet this condition.
I don't know.
I was giving it. Create a consecutive 666 in your score somewhere.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
You may need Dr. Frankenstein. I think this one's gonna be hard.
Is this when you? Is it related to one of the bonus games?
No, it's related to more how you could play.
How you could play.
You may not get it naturally. It might be one of those things you're forced to do if you're trying to complete a platinum trophy.
Oh. Awaken the... No, you could get that pretty naturally. I don't know.
Mark, a guess before I read it?
What was the name of it again?
You may need Dr. Frankenstein. This is hard. I know.
Yeah, I can't really... Like, I keep thinking about that skeleton guy at the bottom.
Yeah, you guys are thinking about the board too much. It's a gameplay thing. Break the board by tilting too much.
Oh, okay. That's good. I like that a lot.
This one might be hard too. It depends how you interpret something. Audience to an exorcism.
Audience to an exorcism. Oh, is this when you reach the final credits?
Yeah, see the ending
Like
cutscene.
Yeah, the ending. Yeah.
Guardian Angel.
Oh, this is easy. You avoid gutter ball by one of the either the little sinewy thing on the left side or the ball catcher. One of the ball catcher things.
So I would probably rebrand this trophy to be that now after hearing that, but I said obtain an extra life on your last ball.
Oh yeah, that yes.
Pretty good.
Too Fast, Too Furious. This is gonna be really hard. All right, skip that one. Let's come back to that one.
I think no, that one is play at fast speed and complete the board in under, I don't know, 30 minutes.
Mark?
I was gonna say, you lose all your balls in a short amount of time.
Oh, that would have been a good one too. No, it was perfect a bonus stage in fast mode.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Let's see. Is there another one here? I had that one's dumb. No. I have one more. I have that might be guessable. No, it's not guessable. These are hard. I had a disturbance in hell, but I'll give you the hint. The last one I just said would technically qualify, would meet that condition. So if you complete Too Fast, Too Furious, you would also get a disturbance in hell if you haven't gotten it already.
Complete any bonus?
Perfect a bonus stage.
Perfect. Yeah, okay.
All right, I'm going to read them because I think the rest of these are hard. So I had Mark of the Devil. I had Player Reagan. I don't like this one. This was like the second one I made. Lose a life without ever using your paddle. In reference to the exorcism, you being possessed by the devil and not being able to the paddle. I had Dante's Journey. Lose a life without the ball hitting your paddle from the top of the board. So if you're in the third top screen and you went all the way down, in reference to Dante's Inferno, of course.
That's pretty good.
You may need Dr. Frankenstein. I had this just to piss Mark off. The Dark Souls of Pinball. Complete the game and its final boss, specifically for the Genesis version, because the final boss is only on that version, according to Wikipedia. Audience and Exorcism. I just had the trophy called Nice. Obtain 69 somewhere in your high score. Mark, you actually almost made this condition earlier with another thing. I had Cult of Jim Jones.
Cult of Jim Jones.
Do you have to boil down the cartridge and drink it in Kool-Aid?
Eliminate all the cult members in the top layer without them changing color.
See, I was thinking of an opposite one, actually, where I was going to call it Technicolor Seance, where you had to like see all the colors in one thing.
That's pretty good.
Ash's Last Stand. Score the most points on your final ball.
That's good.
You'll Never Last in Hell. Lose a life in slow mode.
Pretty good.
Hell's First Traveler. I didn't know what would be a good distance, so I have the pinball travel X amount of feet over multiple playthroughs. Had Too Fast, Too Furious. I also made another reference. Hobbs and Shaw. Start a 2-player game. You gotta get one of those easy ones in there. I had Endure Master Wayne in reference to the recently released runtime of the Batman. Have a play session last longer than 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Damn.
The Omen. Become the high score leader after a high score leaderboard has been established. So it will require at least 6 plays to do that.
Yeah. And
then they all feed to the Platinum Trophy, of course. The Devil himself. Complete all other trophies.
They should redo. Someone should make Devil's Crush again. Which Demon's Tilt is kind of like that, and there are some cool trophies in Demon's Tilt. If you haven't,
I did not look at Demon's Tilt trophies, by the way. So if I copied one of them, I did not cheat.
I don't know that you did. No, but like Demon's Tilt's cool because there's like rituals you have to complete in order to get certain conditions, which is kind of like the top part of Devil's Crush. Yeah. Oh man, occult pinball. You know, we're gonna close this episode out, as we're closing out every episode this season, with the ranking of the game this week. So Devil's Crush, I mean, we're early in the stages of ranking, so this is going to be pretty straightforward. Is Devil's Crush above or below Billy Hatcher on the list?
This is actually going to be tricky, going because there's completely different games. Based solely on just my overall enjoyment of Devil's Crush. I like pause to make sure I say that right every time. I'm going to put it above, but this is going to be one of those games that gets really weird, like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, above.
Mark, what do you think?
Above, no question, no hesitation.
I think this is a good example, though, of how we approach this list as we go forward, because I think like right now and most of the games in our list are very different, but just in a raw enjoyment, like I had a great time with this game. I think this sits above Billy Hatcher for sure. So right now the list as it is, which you can follow along with over at thefreecheese.com/thelist. Devil's Crush, followed by Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. If you missed that episode, go check out episode 436 from last week and hear us talk all about Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. If you're ready for what's next, Matt, you want to tell them what game they're coming back to?
You're going to be using some portals in Portal 2.
Portal 2. Next week, episode 438. Let us know what you think of the show. Ask us a question. Suggest some trophies. You can write in with some trivia questions for when Mark and Matt take another adventure through the trivia dungeon. All of that and more. Podcast at thefreecheese.com. Final word? Devil's Crush?
Hell yeah.
Good stuff.
I'm going to quote someone and just say, Slayer. That is it from us, The Free Cheese, episode 437. We will see you next time. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.